There is a rhythm to our lives on Earth we rarely notice, because it has always been there. But on Mars, that rhythm stops. There is no breathable air, no living soil, no natural protection from the cold. We think of space travel in terms of miles, but the true obstacle is biological. Because the human body is too fragile for the void, we cannot simply visit Mars. We have to recreate everything that made our existence possible in a place where none of it exists. To survive, we must build a synthetic organism, an architecture of interlinked mechanical and chemical systems that mimic our own internal functions. The design logic for this system predates modern space agencies. It was built over generations by innovators who understood survival as a requirement of design. Their collective work provides the functional map for every breath we will take among the stars. Every system begins with energy. Inside your body, mitochondria take what you breathe and turn it into motion. Science calls this original power grid mitochondrial Eve, the engine that sustains the human line. But survival requires a system that can adapt to trauma. In 1951, Henrietta Lacks provided a biological breakthrough when her cells refused to follow the normal signals for decay. They used an enzyme called telomerase to repair their own DNA, allowing them to replicate indefinitely. This chart compares the decay of a normal human cell to the persistence of Henrietta Lacks cells. NASA sent them into space before the first astronauts to prove that human biology could remain stable under microgravity and cosmic radiation. A Martian habitat requires that same unyielding consistency. Solar power is intermittent, and moving mechanical parts eventually fail. The macrobody needs a heart that never stops. Lonnie Johnson developed thermoelectric systems that achieve this by converting temperature differences directly into electricity. With no combustion and no moving parts, the power supply becomes a continuous, reliable pulse. Without this combination of biological adaptation and continuous energy, the entire structure dies before it can even function. The surface of Mars is effectively a vacuum, with a pressure so low it would cause human blood to boil. To stay alive, we need an immediate protective interface, a mechanical skin. Garrett Morgan personally tested the prototype for this interface in gas-filled tunnels to save trapped workers. His safety hood used a closed-loop exhale valve to provide a breathable environment against toxic external pressure, establishing the core logic for the modern spacesuit. This cycle shows how we maintain an atmosphere. Engineers like Camille Wardrope-Alleyne and Isaiah Blankson design these systems to act as lungs. They use electrolysis to split water into oxygen and plasma-based filters to scrub toxins. On a dead world, you do not find air. You manufacture it, turning the environment itself into a life support loop. To function, these mechanical lungs and hearts require a nervous system to regulate their electrical impulses. Otis Boykin provided this stability. He developed precision resistors that control the flow of electricity with absolute reliability, ensuring that complex medical monitors and life support circuits do not fail under environmental stress. The system must also know its location. Benjamin Banneker taught himself the mathematics of the sky while working a tobacco farm to map celestial movements, while Gladys West later programmed the complex mathematical models of Earth's shape that allow GPS to function. George Carruthers and Valerie Thomas gave this system the ability to see. Carruthers built ultraviolet cameras to detect invisible radiation hazards, while Thomas used concave mirrors to create the 3D stereoscopic vision that rovers now use to navigate Martian terrain. Without this electrical regulation and sensory awareness, the macrobody is blind and paralyzed in the dark. Long-term survival requires a way to process resources. Mars lacks organic soil, so we must build a synthetic digestive system to regenerate the ecology. George Washington Carver transformed agriculture by viewing soil as a circulatory system. He used nitrogen-fixing plants to restore exhausted land and invented hundreds of ways to turn biological waste into fuel and medicine. NASA relies on Carver's exact model of crop rotation and waste recovery to design bioregenerative life support, the hydroponic systems that will grow food and recycle water on Mars. Finally, the system requires a mind. Because signals from Earth can take over 20 minutes to arrive, Iona Howard and Monroe Kennedy III developed the autonomous AI that allows robots to interpret human intent and make life-saving decisions on their own. This transition from basic survival tools to ecological regeneration and autonomous intelligence is what turns a landing site into a self-sustaining civilization. When you pull back, the individual components vanish into a single functional organism. Every part of this architecture interlocks. If you remove navigation, the body is lost. If you remove power, the lungs stop. Every piece is essential. The endurance required for Banneker to map the heavens from a tobacco farm, or for Morgan to enter a collapsing tunnel to save lives, produced the same uncompromising logic we now use to keep a Martian habitat alive. When we take our first breath on another world, it will not be the beginning of a new story. It will be the continuation of a system that has been evolving for centuries. Humanity's arrival on Mars is the result of an integrated system designed for the absolute necessity of survival.